Okay, be honest. How many of you clicked on this video thinking it was clickbait just so you could hit me in the comment section? No, it's okay. I get it. Sounds like something I would do. However, sadly, it is not clickbait and it's 100% real. Because over the past few years, Airbus and EASA, the European Aircraft Safety Agency, have been pushing hard to remove the human element from commercial airline travel, something European pilots' unions are firmly and steadfastly against. However, that hasn't stopped both agencies from marching forward with their plans. And I'm sure right now, my subscribers in the US, you may be asking yourself, well, what about the FAA and Boeing? Are they involved in this crazy scheme too? Well, while it does sound like something Boeing would do, however, neither agency wants any part of this horrible idea. Not yet, at least. As a matter of fact, Airbus approached the FAA with this wacky idea a while ago. But the FAA and Boeing told Airbus, well, I think their exact quote was, "Oh, hell no." So thankfully, US flyers won't have to worry about their flight crew dumping and flying anytime soon. However, as for passengers and pilots in Europe, well, let's just say with this latest Airbus single pilot update, well, the proverbial caca has hit the turbofan because European aircraft manufacturer Airbus wants to install an open toilet right behind the captain's seat on its flagship A350 long-haul aircraft in an attempt to eliminate, poor choice of words, but to eliminate the need of having two pilots sitting at the controls of commercial passenger aircraft at any one time. Presently, some of the larger commercial aircraft do have private lavatories for cockpit crew on their flight deck. However, this new proposal wants to literally move the stink hole, well, a whole lot closer to the nose, so to speak. The potty proposal, as is being called by Airbus, is part of ongoing work into what is known as Extended Minimum Crew Operations, or EMCO for short. Extended Minimum Crew Operations is a euphemism for single-pilot operation, especially wide-body, long-haul flight operations in which just one pilot is at the controls of a jumbo Airbus packed with hundreds of human beings, 7 miles in the air, usually over the ocean, during the cruise phase of flight. The hope of Airbus as well as EASA is that EMCO will result in attractive cost savings for airlines because on ultra-long-haul flights, there will no longer be a need to have 3 or 4 pilots operating the same flight. The proposal, however, has perhaps unsurprisingly alarmed many unions and organizations that represent pilots around the world. But a surprising number of pilots are actually on board with this idea. Although advanced work on EMCO projects is going full steam ahead and single-pilot operations could become a reality in less than 5 years, there are still some pretty big hurdles to clear, one of which, according to EASA, is dealing with the fact that pilots are human, and therefore have physiological needs such as using the toilet, or dealing with hygiene issues, especially with female pilots. And it's not that there aren't enough pilots for the job, because presently long-haul flights in the U.S. and around the world are staffed with enough crew members to cover rest time and cruise. However, this single-pilot initiative is about cost saving and profit sharing and seems to be a careless regard for human safety. And you gotta think, if your idea has Boeing saying they want no part of it, then you're on the wrong track. But EASA and Airbus don't seem too worried about public opinion. So much so that Airbus has already designed single-pilot cruise capabilities for its new A350 freighter, the A350F, scheduled for delivery to airlines such as Singapore Airlines and Cathay Pacific by 2027. However, pilots' unions the world over are saying this new A350F and future single-pilot operated commercial jets will introduce a serious degradation of safety into the system. According to Aerocrew News, they report that as Airbus and the industry approach this pivotal crossroads on single-pilot operations, the debate is poised to escalate into high-stakes confrontation between relentless cost-cutting strategies and labor unions' commitment to upholding crucial safety standards. But as far as U.S. pilots' unions are concerned, back in June of 2024, in a speech in Arlington, Virginia, before fellow pilots, Captain Jason Ambrosi, president of the Airline Pilots Association, the ALPA, highlighted the safety risks of flying commercial airliners without at least 2 pilots on the flight deck, as Airbus is currently pursuing, he said. In addition to underscoring the dangers of removing pilots from the flight deck, Ambrosi also unveiled an ALPA white paper that highlights the well-established fact that pilots cannot be replaced through advances in technology and outlines the benefits of having at least 2 pilots on the flight deck at all times. He said some foreign carriers, namely Airbus, are actually working to design flight decks that replace the very safety feature that averted recent disasters, such as the Alaska Air door blowout in January of 2024. Ambrosi said they plan to replace pilots with automation. Of course, that's insane, he said. He said, I have thousands of hours over the North Atlantic, and I can tell you with no uncertainty that in the middle of the night, in cruise, having only 1 pilot is a significant degradation of safety. He said, imagine an emergency like an engine fire, security event, or incapacitation of the remaining pilot. But removing the pilots from the flight deck isn't something that only pilots are against. In a recent poll commissioned by the U.S. Pilots Union of the Flying Public, they found that 79% of respondents said they would feel less safe flying on remotely operated planes, and 73% said they would never feel comfortable flying without 2 pilots on the flight deck. Ambrosi said in practice, reduced crew and single pilot operation schemes like Airbus' so-called extended minimum crew operations are a gamble with safety and a gamble with people's lives. Even Airbus itself acknowledges that their plan to operate aircraft with 1 pilot is inherently flawed, adding that reduced crew operations not only suffer the safety risks of higher workloads for the remaining pilot or the incapacitation of a single pilot, but also reduce the safety and security of commercial air transportation to an unacceptable level. And this next part is important to our American viewers, as the pilot union boss said. It should be noted that this threat to replace pilots with automation won't happen in America first. Ambrosi told his fellow pilots about what is taking place in Europe with Airbus and EASA as they explore rulemaking that would allow Airbus to remove pilots from the flight deck even before completing a study on the safety implications of such a move. Ambrosi said to prevent the risk to safety from reaching the United States, we must work together with aviation regulators and stakeholders to discourage it across the globe. We cannot allow foreign regulators to grease the skids for manufacturers trying to force our hand to undermine safety in our country. And we cannot create unsafe conditions for American passengers traveling into and out of the United States on foreign carriers. Okay, so now we know where American pilots stand on the issue, as well as many European and other world pilots unions pretty much share the same opinion. However, when it comes to EASA and Airbus, it seems to be falling on deaf ears, because apparently enough European pilots are complaining about how hard it is to sit behind a giant computer-driven aircraft in the middle of the night. So Airbus is requesting that the agency, EASA, come up with a plan on how to safely implement EMCO, which includes finding solutions to the fact that pilots might need to, quote, use the can. In case if you're unfamiliar with the term that we Yanks use, the can, we also call it the John, or the crapper, or the head. However, Europeans still call it the loo. Why the loo? I mean, you still call cigarettes by a highly offensive name, yet you have such a dainty term for the crapper. I don't know, but let me know down below. Anyway, but in Europe, EASA already allows for long-haul crews to officially nap on the flight deck. In the U.S., however, the FAA does not allow for American long-haul carriers to nap behind the controls. Do some American pilots nap on the job? Yeah, probably, but not officially. However, in Europe, they can. But regarding the new single-pilot operations, some suggestions considered by the European Safety Agency, EASA, included asking pilots to deliberately dehydrate themselves before starting a lone shift in the aircraft at the controls, which I assume means to go wee-wee before they leave the ground. Also requiring them to eat a high-protein, low-residue diet to mitigate the risk of needing to defecate. You know, take a dump, drop the kids off at the pool. Ew. The agency also looked at other outlandish solutions like making pilots wear adult diapers or equipping cockpits with disposable urine collectors. And I don't even want to think about how that would work. However, thankfully, the authors of the EASA study discounted all these potential solutions, concluding that diapers, special diets, and urine collectors were not acceptable nor feasible. Seriously, they actually studied that. Instead, EASA suggested that in the event a pilot desperately needed to use the toilet, they would need to wake up the second pilot, and at that point, the EMCO or single pilot operation would be terminated. However, the Euro agency worries that ending the EMCO pilot operation early could result in a situation in which the pilots are fatigued. So, to address this situation, this oh so very European situation, to prevent that from happening over the skies and oceans, Airbus is now developing a proposal. Okay, now wait for it, because it was in the thumbnail. Airbus is now developing a proposal to install an open toilet on the flight deck. Remember, I told you this isn't a joke, this is real. Airbus is going to get rid of that second jump seat behind the captain and put a toilet. To which Captain Ambrosi in the US said, think about that for a minute, saying so that in the case when you have to relieve yourself, but there's no one at the controls. But wait, it gets better. No, seriously, because as Ambrosi points out, they are even promising a comms panel, as in radio communications with the ground and tower, on the toilet, so that you can look forward at the control and instruments. So if ATC calls, well, Ambrosi said, and I'm quoting him, you can answer the call while you're on the can. Or for those of you in Europe, while you're on the loo. Wow, just imagine while you're cruising in a brand new A350 above the North Atlantic trying to sleep, as you picture your pilot flying the plane and dropping a deuce at the same time. Yikes. So, I, your humble aviation servant Maximus, having taken great pity on our distressed European pilots, I came up with the perfect solution to all of Airbus and EASA's problems. I present to you the handcrafted, Maximus designed, patent pending, Airbus, no, not cockpit, but brand new crap pit. And I even have my sales pitch ready to close the deal. Hey Airbus pilots, are you tired? Job got you down, maybe stressed, gotta pee, maybe poo and use the loo, or worse? Well, worry no more, because with the new Airbus A350 cockpit designed by Maximus, patent pending, it doesn't matter whether you're coming or going, your joystick is never far from your hand. And with that, as the US AOPA Pilots Union said, let that sink in. Yeah, I don't want to brag, but I think I'm going to be rich soon because I think I'm going to sell a crap ton of these things. And on that note, it's your turn to let me know your thoughts down below. And feel free to make all the potty puns you like. The more creative, the better. Oh boy, I can't wait to see what you have to say on this one. So with that, until next time, remember, leave the rubber on the runway and your poo on the ground. And I will see you next time on the loo, in the air. Yeah, this is Maximus, patent pending.